Hi, this is Hale. This week we are re-releasing one of my favorite episodes. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do, and I'm sure you'll get even more insights from listening to it again if you've already heard it. Don't be afraid of feelings. Let them come up and be released. That's a quote by Shakti Caterina Maggi in Rhonda Byrne's book, The Greatest Secret. And today we talk to Shakti in this episode of Letting Go and the Greatest Secret. I'm Hale Dwoskin. Shakti Caterina Maggi is a living embodiment of truth, which is a rare gift. Shakti has been sharing a message of awakening to our true nature of one consciousness, of non-duality. Her approach of self-realization is very contemporary and reveals the real possibility of discovering our divinity at the very core of our humanity. She's known for her wisdom, humor, and heartfelt connection. When I interviewed Shakti, she was in a vast space, and her voice was echoey and lively. I think you'll agree that her beautiful essence shines through in what she shares with us. Well, let's just start with the question, what is awakening?
It's a $1 million question, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
What is awakening? Well, if I would have to say it in a nutshell, is the sometimes sudden, sometimes slowly sneaking realization that we are not just this body mind, that we are something much bigger, vast, loving, peaceful, silent, radiant. We are one consciousness living through 7 billions of forms, plus all the vegetables, trees, flowers, bees, animals of the planet. We are a living being, radiating, expressing itself, manifesting itself, learning about itself through forms. And this realization is something that is not happening to a person, but is happening through the human form. So this one consciousness through the human form, sometimes instead of being identified just with the little idea to be this bundle of bones and flesh and blood, this consciousness realized to be the creator of everything we see, the dreamer of this dream of life, and the dream.
Very well said. Very well said. I love something you just said. You said learning through all the forms. And, you know, we forget that part, I think. I think we're so focused on how we can discover the truth of who we are that we forget that this whole that we are is already experiencing through all phenomena and learning through all phenomena. And can you speak just a little bit more about that?
Yeah, this is truly fascinating. You're right, because the journey of the human being, it's a journey of consciousness learning. So we think we are a human being looking for God or looking to realize our transcendental nature, where actually we are a transcendental being learning through the human experience about itself. It's kind of the other way around.
Right.
We are this divine learning. And the way in which the divine learns is through matters, through manifestation, through lifetimes, through experiences. And when we remember this, we can also take in consideration that hard times, times of crisis like the one we are living now, are the way sometimes in which the lesson gets through in a better way. So nothing is wasted, no lifetime is useless or wasted. Everything is extremely important. Our experiences, even the most negative one, even the one that we say, why did I do that? Why I wasted so much time in my life, chasing that experience or that person, for instance, that is relevant, is important because consciousness is learning. is learning through all of us, the little ones and the big ones, not just masters and teachers, or enlightened beings, but through everybody. Consciousness is having a very precious experience because it's sharing it with the entire consciousness. When you learn something, when I learn something, it's not personal. This knowledge is shared in the global mind. So it is precious, incredibly precious, is a gift for everybody.
That's beautiful. Do you think that's part of the reason that awakening in general, this whole topic right now has really exploded? I mean, with Rhonda's new book coming out, but even before then, there were a century ago, talk about non-duality. It was reserved for a fortunate few who worked hard on themselves for decades before they were even told about it.
Yeah.
They were first brought through a whole series of non-dual teachings. But now it seems like this understanding is just open. And
absolutely true. It's absolutely true. It's increasing, expanding, it's infectious,
it is, it's very infectious.
And it's not personal, I even in my limited lifespan experiences now, I've been formally teaching since 2011, more formally, more exposed, but I started to share because my teacher recommended me to since 2003. And already in 2003, the amount of people that were really getting what was shared was much less than now. Now, you meet people that have done sometimes not even like a traditional path or anything, and they're just spontaneously waking up. And maybe they bump into this kind of talks because they want to figure out what is happening to them. So yes. It's like, it's a wave of awakening that is impersonal. Once again, as we said before, it doesn't happen to a person, it's happening to consciousness, and it's manifesting through force. So also through the human being. Yes. The planet is awakening,
yes.
Not just people.
Well, it's probably beyond the planet, but yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because it's a universal laughter, is a universal radiant way of joy. The universe is the answer to the ancestral question, what am I? Yes. The void asks itself, what am I? God asks itself, what am I? And the answer, it's us. It's the universe is the answer to this question. And it's still unfolding. It's not that he answered, it was answered and it's over. The answer is going on, is living now.
Right. This is the answering.
Exactly. It's an answering. Exactly.
That's right. That's beautifully put. Thank you.
Thank you.
So isn't really the only, one of the main obstacles is that we forget and we take it personally?
We forget what we are, right. Even this oblivion, it might look like it's a curse. Why we forget, and then we reach central understanding, and then maybe we die without finishing, and then we have to reborn again, and then we forget, and it looks like it's a curse, yeah? But in reality, this forgetting is a gift. I hope I'm able to pass the grace of it. But, God, the divine life, whatever you want to call it, cosmic intelligence, Sophia, it doesn't matter the name you're using, needs to have in the game of duality on this dimension, it needs to have the forgetting to have the conscious remembering, because everything in this dimension functions through polarities. So to have a self-recognition, to have the divine suddenly becoming aware of its own divinity, you need to have the forgetting. So it's not a curse, it's actually a gift. Because without it, you would not have evolution. So I know it doesn't look like that, but it is. Even ignorance is precious in this perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. So, everything is precious from this perspective.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Again, beautifully put. I think even just hearing that, I think is going to be a relief to many people, because again, what you said is that some people, like you did, it's just all at once you recognize the truth of who you are. And it's been deepening and unfolding since then. But for many of us, what we experience is a remembering or a noticing what's true. And
Mm.
then the mind comes back. And there's a noticing what's true. And then the mind comes back.
Yeah,
And
it's a flip-flop, is a flickering.
yes,
And
yeah, you call
yeah,
that flickering. But I think many of us feel every time we fight with the forgetting and we resist the forgetting and we rail against the forgetting. But if we recognize that the forgetting is also part of the process, then we don't have to fight with it. And it's not as sticky. Would you agree with that?
yeah, absolutely. This process of deepening in the realization of what we are is a journey of a lifetime, because awakening is no moksha, it's not liberation. Final liberation is when all our residues of personal self are dissolved and there is no need for further reincarnation. And the journey often starts with a recognition, but then the real spiritual life sometimes is after awakening,
Right.
really in embodying this realization day by day, in discovering day by day how going through fears, transforming alchemically these fears into joy of being, has to be done. And sometimes it's difficult, because maybe there are areas in our life where we don't want this message to enter, when we
Yes.
want to keep things personal.
Yeah,
Right?
we
Yes.
were still playing hide and seek.
And that's why, sometimes we feel, oh my God, I lost it,
Yes.
I found it, I lost it. And in a way, I found it is wrong as I lost it.
Yes. Yes.
Because the witnessing that we're speaking about, the conscious recognition that we're speaking about is always present. That's why I stress out, don't worry if patterns of ignorance, conditioning, is emerging in you, because these are necessary waves that are emerging to be cleansed. Awareness never goes away. The love, the peacefulness we are is not going away, is watching those waves coming, is watching those patterns emerging. And the only thing is asked to us is stay with them in our heart, to sit with them, to transform them through this loving gaze of awareness. When sometimes I say to explain this to people, when you feel really down, when you're like, bruised to the bones, with sorrow, and you want to go to your friends and just empty yourself out and tell them what is going on for you, you don't want so much they tell you their opinion on things. You just wanted them to listen to you, silently saying, with a cup of thing in the hands and say, nodding and say, I know, my love, I know, my dear. And that's the way in which we should approach these patterns of conditioning of ignorance in us. Just silently listening to become to ourselves these loving friends that doesn't want to tell us many things, but wants to listen, is able to listen. That's in a way the secret.
Can you speak more about, once you've gotten a taste, how to just be present and allowing for the unfolding?
Yeah, well, it's very rare in my experience that somebody see this and stay in this recognition in a steady way, because the the gravitational force of the ego is strong.
Yes.
So it's like sometimes you see the truth, like you're watching through the keyhole of a door, and it's interesting because the keyhole has a shape, and so your vision of truth will have that shape.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
definitely.
if
Yes,
you
yes.
know what I mean.
I
And
do.
then you and so you think, oh, that's the truth. And maybe you meet somebody else that has a different keyhole, and you say, no, that's not the truth. My keyhole is right.
Right. There is a lot of
So
that. My keyhole is better than your keyhole.
yeah,
Or my teacher's keyhole is better than your
yeah,
teacher's
of
keyhole.
course, of course. So as you go ahead, you discover that the picture is much broader and bigger than you expected, and you discover that there are many, many ways, to see the same things and to express it. But this is another discourse altogether, just to mention it. But so you see through the keyhole, and then like the light that is shedding upon you is so strong, you know, and it's dissolving some part of conditioning in that like initial glimpse, you know, in that initial opening. But then sometimes it's too much for us to take in. We are not emotional, physically, even energetically ready to stay in that radiance. So we have to kind of like go back. And I thought we don't go anywhere, you know, we're always here, but it looks like we go back and have to do our homework. We have to wash the dishes, you know, the dirty laundry. And that's period in which like you come back to the conditioning and you review the conditioning through this new understanding. And then like maybe you have once again another opening, and maybe you say yourself, that's it, now I'm enlightened, you know, the job is over. And of course, you know, you live in a honeymoon for maybe some weeks and months or even years if you're lucky. And then once again, the laundry comes until you understand that this dirty laundry, it's not a curse. Once again, it's necessary. You remember when we said before about learning? Yes. We are here to dissolve patterns of ignorance. We are here as transcendental being, meeting the ignorance and transforming it into wisdom. If we want to use once again some Sanskrit words that people can then look at them by themselves, from avidya maya to vidya maya, from an illusion that is pregnant with ignorance to an illusion that is shining with wisdom. So this reviewing patterns of conditioning is not endless. This is good to know. It's not endless. It looks like endless sometimes, right?
Yeah, because, it feels that way too.
Yeah, because it looks endless because sometimes the same pattern, you have to process it layers by layers. It doesn't go in one go. It's like one layer, one layer, one layer, one layer, and then it's gone. But it might take years or a lifetime, entire lifetime, or more than once to dissolve what you came here to dissolve. And in the meantime, you're not in hell, you are already in paradise. If you understand that you are here to live life as it is, with all the pains, the sorrows, the defeats, the sickness, and the joy of life, it's not in avoiding experiences, but in resting in such a place that you can stay with any wave. You can see the beauty of sadness as depth, or the authenticity of pain, or the passion and clarity of anger, you know, just to mention things. So you learn to stand in a place in front of life that you love it as it is. That's the art of living.
My favorite parts of my seminars and retreats are when we go into the part of us that is love, the part of us that is pure, radiant, and completely accepting love.
I often refer to the importance of the heart. And of course, the heart is not a physical organ. Yeah.
Yes.
The heart is where consciousness abides in the human form. So is that part of us that knows without knowing how he knows. It's that part of us that is resting behind all experiencing with loving awareness, and is able to meet in its neutrality, in its softness, in its total openness and innocence, all the experiences of life. So that is the place that we can rest in any moment, already, right now, and stay with those waves of life that are bringing us lesson and gift. So descending in the heart means to let go of our usual attachment to the mental narratives, to our self-importance through that mental narratives, and descending in this mystery of the heart where we can burn that ignorance, let go, let God, and be. I'm, of course, synthesizing this, but living from the heart is something to be walked, not so much to be talked.
Right.
And as to us, sincerity, honesty, courage to unmask ourselves and to be real, whatever this means for us.
It's beautiful. I sound like a broken record, but that's my initial response. Every time there's a
Thank
pause,
you.
pause
Thank
in
you.
the conversation is beautiful.
No, I am glad that we are on the same page.
Yeah.
This is the first time we meet, but it's beautiful that we can share the same vision.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's exquisite to me. You have people come to you all the time at varying levels of this unfoldment. What are some of the things that you found the most helpful to help? Again, you've already said so much that I think will be supremely helpful, but what are some of the other things that when people come to you that they find the most helpful?
Well, the first thing that is coming into my mind, I don't know if this is the most helpful, is that very often when I have like long-time seeker, they've seen much, they experience much, they know much. And sometimes one of the difficult things is to let go of our peak experiences, let go of our moment of glories, with God, and to stay in here in the nitty-gritty
Right.
moment.
Right.
And sometimes the spiritual ego is sneaky, is mischievously creeping upon us, and maybe we think we hold on to those memories that were beautiful, we cherish them, but as long as we hold on to them, we cannot stay with the lesson of our Sadguru, our ultimate guru, that is life. And so that is sometimes helpful to remind people, yes, you had this, you saw this, you understood that, let it go now. Just be here with me with an open heart. Let's be here together. What a gift. With no agenda, just me and you. Like here. And a lot of things drop when we do that. And also, another thing that I think is important, this one is for maybe beginners, if there is some, I don't think there
Actually,
are really
before you say the beginning thing, I just wanted to say something, and maybe this will add to what you said.
Yeah.
That you said, be here with me. You were referring, I believe, with the interaction when someone's in front of you. But isn't that also what you're doing internally? You're being here with the Satguru, as opposed to, look, Satguru, I had this wonderful experience. Yeah, but I'm right here, right now, ready to show you whatever's next. And we miss that because we're holding on to whatever the experience is. I often ask people, yes, but what is the same now? Pointing them back to that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Could you comment on that?
Yeah. We have to learn, the self in us has to learn to stay with the me, basically. Instead than like seeing that we are a little ego looking for the bigger self to welcome us home, to understand that what is looking through our eyes, what is listening through our ears is the self right now. And it can stay, the self that we are can stay with this false impression of the me. So that kind of intimate staying, that is a speechless love that I was referring with, like,
yes.
Stay here with me. We have to learn to do it with ourselves.
Yes.
So, but like my comment before is really like, are we courageous enough to let go of what we know and abide in the I don't know, as I don't know if it exists in English, of this moment?
Yes, it's very clear. I can't remember which teacher. Oh, Nisargadatta said, the only accurate thing the mind can say is, I don't know.
It's the ultimate.
Ultimate, yes.
Yeah, that is the ultimate understanding, because the mind cannot go beyond itself. So the mind cannot know the truth. This is hard to swallow, right? I want to know. No, you can be it, but you will never know it. It's a very narrow door, but the gift is exquisite if you cross it.
Yes, yes, yes. So now I interrupted you to bring out that little extra piece, but let's talk about, you said there was something that beginners need to hear. And what was that?
Yeah, now I don't know if I remember it,
Well,
but
let's see what comes out. And again, I'm sure you're like me. When I'm talking to people, I have no idea what I'm going to say next.
yeah.
People say they apologize for interrupting my train of thought. And I said, I don't have any trains.
I know, I know. No, no, like I am just like dipping into what is coming up because, like I really meet a lot of people. So, yes, well, actually, what I was thinking to say, it's funny because it's related to what we just said. I was thinking that many people say, like, I feel what you say, but I don't understand it. Should I
Yes.
understand it all? And I say, no, you don't need it. Go in your heart, recognize the divine and serve the divine in everybody in your life, and serve the divine, not the ego in people. And then the understanding comes by itself. So you don't need to know it all. Just let your heart speak, not with words, but as with vibrations in your being to guide you. It's our compass. It's what guides us through discernment. That's what I wanted to say. That is actually related to what we just said. So it's so perfect.
It is perfect. It is perfect.
One topic that sometimes I speak about that I think it might be relevant to some people is the topic of the divine feminine.
Mm.
And this I think is relevant, not just, of course, it's not relevant, it's not a women thing.
No.
And I'm
That's a
not
big
mentioning it.
confusion. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not mentioning it because my body is female at all, but because the divine feminine is really what is emerging right now to me on the planet. I'm sure you are watching, the spiritual circles more and more flooded with this topic, because really, Shakti is rising. It's a wave that is asking us to be real, once again, as we said before, to let go of maybe some intellectualism around truth, to let truth not to be something we read in a book or watched in a video, but something we breathe, we walk, something that we touch, we taste. And this means to go in places that are uncomfortable to us, because sometimes we keep truth on a shelf on our spiritual book, the spiritual section or
Yes,
whatever.
yes.
And then, like, we are, really nasty with our family or with our partners, or we are like, or with our work colleagues. We don't let that touch us in places that are uncomfortable. So staying with the uncomfortableness, staying with something that is difficult, that is burning in us, is really letting this understanding going deeper and deeper and becoming real. We have to give birth to ourselves. And to
Yes,
do that, we have to die to our
yes,
old self.
yes,
And so the divine feminine speaks of that courage, and also speaks about allowing, understanding that emotions are not something we have to avoid. Sometimes it looks like, maybe not so much now, I think you agree with that, but like
yes,
some years ago, like emotion were a bad thing, you
yes,
should.
yes.
So if you were human, you were wrong, and you were
Mm.
getting into spiritual path to get away from your humanity.
Right,
Where
right, right.
instead, like emotions are the female side of the mind, and if we avoid them, try to avoid your wife and then tell me how she is at the end of the day, So,
Not very happy.
well, or try to control her, even worse,
Oh,
try to
even worse.
yeah. So a lot of, so a lot of the problems we have nowadays is if we are not understanding that we cannot repress the female, the feminine in us. And this, it's not just about women, it's men and women. The repression of women is just an external manifestation or reflection of that.
Right.
We have to learn to stay with our emotions that are uncomfortable, and then to understand that they are lifting us to other dimension of understanding. They are not a curse, they are a
Yes.
gift.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's, again, beautifully put.
The mind is not here to be stopped. You cannot stop the mind. This is also helpful for a lot of people.
Yes.
Guys, don't worry. The mind is not personal. This is the mind. Welcome to the machine, the Pink Floyd were saying, like this is the mind. What you see around the world is your mind, is your consciousness. You cannot stop it. You don't need to stop it. The internal dialogue, yes, it can be stopped, but the mind doesn't need to be stopped. So thoughts and feelings are part of the mind. It doesn't need to be stopped. It needs to be enlightened by your divine grace. That's what it needs. So you don't need to stop emotions and thoughts. That's, one last thing to do. What do you think?
Yes, I agree. Totally. Again, when there's anything coming up, it's an opportunity or a gift to go deeper or open more to the truth of who or what you are, wouldn't you say? Like,
Yes.
actually, that's what you just said. I'm just
Yes.
paraphrasing it.
No, it's okay. It's okay. No, I agree with you and me. So is like we are not here to reach God, but to discover that the God in us can meet the human.
Mm,
That's another way of saying what we said before. There is a shining diamond, a beautiful transparent pearl at the core of our humanity, and it's divine. So we have just to have the courage to dig and find it.
yes. And let it shine too. It's just that
Yeah,
there's a lot of emphasis, I believe, in non-dual circles is to find the diamond, but then we
yeah,
forget to let it shine into all experience. We just
yeah,
kind of guard the diamond and or put it up on a pedestal as opposed to live it,
yeah.
or let
Because
it live us, actually.
well, there are two forces in the universe that are the two sides of the same one. One is Shiva nature, transcendental force from the multitude to the oneness and to the zero. Yeah. And then there is another one that is from the zero to the oneness to the multitude. And that is Shakti, is the feminine. So we are here to recognize we are one. And then from that oneness to shine our very unique, precious individuality. So we are here to be ourselves. So that's what you were saying, no? So find the gem, find the diamond, recognize what you are, and then shine its preciousness in the world in your own unique way, and it
Right,
doesn't
right.
mean you need to be a teacher. You can be a mom and do that. I tell you a little story that
Oh,
is
please
really
go ahead.
sweet. Of a young guy, and it's like he was not even 30, and he actually interviewed me some years ago in Italy, and he was a very simple guy. He was working in a supermarket, and he recognized who he is. It was very clear, and um and he said, I used to be a cashier, and I was seeing, every customer was a Buddha coming to me, and I was looking at them and shining, and I was serving a Buddha. And I say, wow, that's beautiful. And he say, now it get even better. I say, what? I go to the night shift. Now I am just like all by myself in the supermarket, putting every product on the shelf. And for me, it's a total meditation from the first minute to the last one. And they pay me, you know. And I was saying, wow, I met a Buddha in a supermarket. And it is like that,
Yes,
and
yes.
I met people that woke up in prison. I met people that woke up in the most strange situation, in a war zone. I'm not kidding,
Yes, yes.
So really, we are here to shine our Buddha nature in our life as it is. It doesn't need to change, you don't need to have a fancy name, I received this name from my teacher, but I would never, I thought people changing name were nuts, until it happened to me. And when he said it, I felt all my body shimmering with energy, like,
Yes.
every time he was saying, I say, oh my God, I had to change it. And now I'm using both of them, Shakti Caterina.
I always look to try to give people ways to continue to explore this on their own. So How would you recommend people continue to explore this on their own?
Well, try to doubt in the next 24 hours everything you know. Just for 24 hours. Try to doubt it and move in, when it's finishing this interview, move in the word like you don't know anything of it and see what happens. You meet maybe your spouse, or you meet your colleague or your friends. Of course, you still know their names, and or their story, or you still know how to drive your car or to open a door. But walk in that place, meet that person as if it's the first time you go there. Try to abandon a moment the knowing and go in the perception of your senses. For instance, people now are probably sitting somewhere listening to this, unless they're walking, I don't know, in a park with earbuds on. But, wherever you are, stop a moment now and listen to your body, to the sensation of the body. If you're sitting, let the sensation of the body sitting, or the sounds of the place where you are. And listen. Without trying to listen anything in particular, be the listening and with an innocence of the baby. And you will notice things that you would not notice before. And maybe you would even enter in a place where there is no separation between you and the people around you, or the place where you are. You might even go deeper than that and see there is something very silent that is you, that is embracing it all. That's the little practice I would give.
That's a beautiful gift.
Thank you.
I highly encourage everyone to explore that. And by the way, if you like it after 24 hours, try 48.
Of course. Well, I live like that all the time. It doesn't matter how hard is your life right now. It doesn't matter how it looks difficult the situation you are in. You can stay with it. On some level that you don't remember, your deepest self is choosing this experience, even the most difficult one, and is choosing to meet it, to learn about love, about you. So if you are scared, open your heart, and if it's difficult to do that, ask the divine to open your heart and receive the lesson that is arriving. We are in this moment in times in which we are in extreme need to stay in our heart, because we are put one against the other. There is so much division, and we are here to find in the neutrality of the heart a third way, another way of living that we are all looking for. So don't get discouraged. You can stay with this, you can pass it through. You just need to use your heart as a shield, a weapon, and a door.
I hope you enjoyed our time with Shakti Caterina Maggi as much as I did. You can learn more about her in the podcast notes for this episode, including her messages, free recordings, and events. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please give us a 5-star rating, subscribe, and share it with the people you care about. If you'd like to learn more about my work and the Sedona method, please visit sedona.com. As you explore our site, you'll learn how to be free of the feeling of fear, how we can all live from the heart and from the Buddha nature at our core. I have books, courses, events, and plenty of free material to explore. Again, go to sedona.com. That's sedona.com. Thank you for being here, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Letting Go and the Greatest Secret.